Evening, everyone. I'd like to open the meeting of the Hume Council on 17th December 2025. In accordance with Council's code of meeting practice, this council meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Council's webpage for public information. All present today are reminded that by speaking you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. You're also reminded that when you are speaking, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language. Hume Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during this meeting. But like everyone to be respectful of each other's when they're speaking and refrain from speaking over the top of each other. Getting ready for next year's code of meeting practice changes. Before I ask Councillor Moore to say a prayer, I'd just like to say on behalf of our council and the community, I extend our deepest condolences and love to our family and friends and all those affected in the tragic events in Bondi. We pay our deepest respect to the Bondi community, the victims and all who are grieving. Our thoughts are with you and we stand together in compassion and solidarity during this heartbreaking time. Councillor Morton, would you like to please say the prayer?
Dear loving and merciful God, as we come together in this place as the Greater Hume Council, we ask for your guidance and wisdom in all our deliberations. We lift up to you every member of this council. May we all be filled with wisdom to make decisions that will best serve the needs and interests of our constituents. We also want to take this time, Lord, to extend our sympathy and condolences to those who have been impacted by the recent Bondi terrorist attack. We pray for comfort and healing for the victims, their families and the entire community. May your healing touch be upon them during this difficult time. Lord, help us to contemplate on the importance of looking out for the greater good of our constituents. May we always remember to have compassion and empathy in all our actions. Help us to work together in unity with the common goal of building better and safer communities for everyone. May your grace and wisdom guide us in our discussions and decisions. Bless us with discernment and understanding so that we may bring positive changes and improvements to our community. We ask all these in your holy name.
Thank you, Councillor Morton. I'd like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri people and pay my respect to elders, both past, present and emerging. Any apologies or applications for leave? No? If Councillor Hooper put an application for leave in last meeting, yes. Thank you. Confirmation of minutes for the previous meeting held on the 19th of November.
I'll move those minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks.
No, second.
And Councillor Liston. Any debate, changes, amendments? No? All those in favour? All in favour, declare carried. Action report from the minutes. Any questions? Please state the item number and page number, if you will.
For me, if I
Thank you,
like, there's one on page 12, number 7024. I think there's just a little bit of on point 4 to do with the whole property possible purchase, but the point 4 it sort of finishes and it doesn't look like the sentence has been completed.
I was just going to get it up, sorry.
Yes, I know.
Bear with me for a minute.
But page 12. Something to do with just fitting it into the space, I think. But it didn't look like it should have carried on, but there was no more. Just the last bit.
Oh, yeah. On the bottom of page 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just cut that off.
Yeah, accidentally.
Yeah.
Purchase properties.
Oh, that just was going to say that we were going to designate council. That's in the resolution. It's just the council's going to designate the land as operational land. That's all it is. It's been
Yeah, I
cut
just
off.
thought it didn't sound like it finished off.
Yeah, it hasn't cut off.
We might just need to.
I'll fix that.
Yeah.
But that's what all was.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Shaw. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've just got a couple.
Thank you, Councillor.
Page 4.
Linda, sorry.
6858. Again, on the comment, it still has a July ordinary meeting that the report was going to be back to that. No, I flagged that last meeting.
The Caragost 4.
No,
Sorry.
6858, the request for urgent draft declaration and government support.
Well, I've got a mayoral minute, councillor.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
I've-
why I think.
No, I'm just querying this one comment. It's still got, the report was going to be provided back to the July meeting. I flagged that last meeting and it's hasn't fallen off. And then if you jump down a couple, 6922, just deals just back in July, this request for what timeline for the appointment of acting general manager. Does that need to still be here or shouldn't that have fallen off?
Well, once it's 100%, it will take the next one. Yeah. Any other comments? I was just going to ask for just an update on 6859 on the Caravan Hall. Would you like to do? Would you like to?
Well, that actually could be completed. All of that has been done. I apologise for that. We could update that one. Except the community consultation process on the future of the hall hasn't happened, but the other two also has happened. So I think that I think most people up there at the Caraboss community are aware though that the new fire shed that's mentioned in my report later in the agenda will include the community meeting space, and that's going to be in lieu of the hall as a space. So I'm pretty sure most people would be pretty aware of that up there. There was a large part of the community attended the meeting at the Royal Fire Shed in the middle of the year, and that's what was discussed, that's what the grant is going to be for. Include that space, that meeting room space, which they have been successful in getting that grant.
Any other comments, questions? Right. Have a move for that.
Comments?
Thanks, councillor Martin. All those in favour? Any disclosures of interest? No? Great. We'll go on to the mayoral minute. I'm not going to read it out. Councillors, you've seen it. Yeah. I'll just make a couple of comments. Sits writing that mayoral minute. Last week, the federal government announced an additional $1 billion in funding for the RIG loans, which is a positive step. However, the interest rate remains too high at 5.18. We will continue to advocate for these issues and the arduous application process. But we do acknowledge that they're listening to us and our situation in southern New South Wales, and we will put it down as a small win. Just a reminder that, you know, I have been sending out media releases all the time when I do something, or we've had a bit of attention from the government, and yeah, just those are all comments, that's all. Any questions? Small wins are good wins at the moment, to be honest. Not reports from officers. 10.1 environmental planning. 10.11 West Virginia residential precinct. The recommendation is on page 11. Is this paper?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that this matter lay on the table till the February meeting, and we engage with Habitat Planning early February to walk us through the whole project. It's a very big project of great significance, and we want to really understand what we're going to vote for. So, if I can get a second, and I'll speak to the motion.
Second, councillor Young.
Yeah. Speaking to the motion, Madam Mayor, there's an enormous amount of reading material. With due respect to modern day consultants, many of the modern day consultants were in primary school back in the early 90s. And back in those days, some of this country, you could buy with alcohol. That's how wet it got. Been dry ever since. So I think that we should really thrash it out, find out where the border's going to go, perhaps what swales are going to put, etc. But I think the only way is to get that consultants out there on the ground. Modern day consultants are a bit like I can't think of the name of the mob, but the land valuation. They do it from a 6.4 or 8.4 in Tucker Street in Sydney. Have the lot, but your place is worth this and your place is worth that, and we compare it to this and that. So I think we want really on the ground information, and we can make our decision. We won't be voting blind.
I'd like to speak to it.
Sure.
Thank you. Excuse me, Madam Mayor. Just so councillors sort of formed, it's mentioned in here that we did receive grant funding for this project, and to meet the timelines of the grant, I had to present to council these 4 documents that and really it's been extended and extended and extended, and they're not interested in extending it any further. So I need to quit this. But it doesn't necessarily mean that those documents are finalised. I personally read through all the documents. Obviously, the infrastructure contribution plan is not complete. It's got some work to do, some numbers and stuff to be completed. Council's holding the money from the grant anyway, and so we've been paid the money, and essentially my work with the consultants would go on, but it will just I do have to finalise the grant, and that's so number 1 will need to be endorsed tonight by the council, which really just says we endorse the package that the master plan, the development control plan, planning proposal we've got. And if you're able to do that, then I can finalise the grant. If you're hesitant to move on with number 2, that could be deferred. I would say though, a lot of work has gone into this precinct, and a huge amount of effort went into the flood study. And at this stage, the flood study is a high-level flood study. But just to give councillors an overview about that, so we took our existing flood study that was done in 2015, I believe, and we updated the new rainfall models from this area. And for those that would have had a look at the actual master plan and the DCP, there's huge areas of this land that won't be developed, and that's the land that aligns with where the water will run. And at this level of planning, there's still more work to be done at the subdivision stage, where further works would be done and even further modelling would be done. But the modelling that we have done at this point satisfies me that if we stuck to that footprint where we had those green areas where we're not developing, and we raise the land if we need to, because it's not uniform across the site, we've got to raise the land, but there is areas where some controlled fill will need to go in, then I'm reasonably confident that there would be no flood impacts on anybody building in those sites. And so that rezoning, there'd be no reason that the rezoning couldn't occur. The biodiversity studies have been done. Lots and lots of effort has been done by very qualified consultants to get to this point. And so I don't know if that allays some councillors' concerns, but from my professional opinion, I'm satisfied that number 2 could occur, and we could start the dialogue for asking for the rezoning of the land. And again, there's lots and lots of checks and balances in that. So that document will get referred to a lot of government agencies that have specialist people, for example, in relation to flooding, and they will not let that rezoning go. And if they've got a shadow of a doubt that the land in question is not suitable for residential development, so that's the nature of where we're at with this particular project.
For you, Madam Mayor, I actually had the time to read the whole document because nobody came to swim at Ginger on Sunday, and I was impressed by the depth of the whole study. And the fact is, this has been now going on for quite a few years. And I see no reason why we shouldn't be asking both.
Yeah.
Parts
And
of the
we'll
recommendation.
just go in order. Councillor Linda, would you like to add?
Yeah, I would actually, two comments. I actually found especially the aerial shots within the document, a number of them contradicted each other. So I would actually like to be out on site and query those directly. And the other thing too is I don't think it was fair for us to be sent an extra or another amendment in relation to that very thing Tuesday afternoon, yesterday afternoon before tonight's meeting. That's not fair, especially this time of the year when things are crazy and most of us work full time as well.
Look,
So, yeah.
I apologise about that. I've never known the consultants over the last, generally consultants right through the development industry, to be as busy as they have been ever since really COVID. And so they've got lots and lots of work, and there's certain, so I'm very much impacted on by the consultants. So when I get the material from the consultants, I've got to read it myself very quickly and then decide what to do with it. I do apologise. I got that only shortly beforehand, and as I said, it's not finalised, that particular document. But as I said, the pressure, that there is certain pressure being applied on council to hit its timelines for this agreement, and that's the issue. And so, like I said, if you're reluctant to move number 2, I can possibly leave that off. But number 1 particularly, which only says endorsed, you're not. There's still got to be put out an exhibition and get comments, thoughts, and there's lots of steps to go. But primarily, the report is around hitting number 1 in the recommendation so that I can finalise that grant.
My understanding of point 2 is that we would be submitting it to the Department of Planning and Infrastructure, and there's every chance that they may send it back anyway if things aren't complete or not. It's not to their liking, so there's every chance that will come with that. You're right.
Absolutely. Like from my experience from moving that if council was to want to adopt that recommendation for number 2 tonight, you're still looking at a 6 to 8 month process to get that planning proposal through.
And there's a chance that
and that's because it will get interrogated by all these other agencies in biodiversity, flooding, rural fire service, maybe Transport for New South Wales because of the size of it, because of that number of blocks, that 700 allotments. They'll all have a look at it, and they'll have to satisfy themselves that they're okay with it to proceed. And only when that happens does it proceed, and it'll go back and forward many times.
Another point is on page 52 of that proposal. There's a bit of a typo. District local planning strategies for Berrigan. Oh, Berrigan's mentioned there a couple of times.
Yeah, well,
and that can be amended before.
Yes, I thought I got all of them out myself, but I might have missed one. But yes, thank you for that. I'll raise that with them again. And
I've just got one quick question, Mayor, if it's possible.
Yes.
Now, with the flood study, the modelling that's been done.
Yeah.
Now, I might be barking up the wrong tree here, but the Pioneer Park on stage 2 of the Lutheran Locks, there's going to be a drain put in from Pioneer Drive across the back of those allotments and then down into that area. Has that flood study taken into account the extra volumes of water that will be coming through there?
yes,
Because that will obviously raise the flood height somewhat.
all of that information's been,
It has all been put in.
it's all been allowed for.
Right, I just wanted to just certain.
What hasn't been modelled at this stage is any retention on site, and so that's still got to be modelled. The retention basins has to be modelled to mitigate some downstream impacts. But all of that information that that the current consultant has looked at previous studies that we've had and has integrated that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, would it be possible to have a site inspection? If we do pass this through so you can get that grant funding finalised, could we have a site inspection at some stage with the?
You could, but you just need to bear in mind that there's a fair bit of earth moving that's got to occur. So what you will see there today won't be the fine, the levels will all be altered throughout the site. There's some pads to come up, and so the effect, the value in that, I don't know. That's up to councils, but there's a fair bit of fill to come in and be incorporated on that land to create some of these benches. And so if you go there and you look at it, you're going to get a not the full percent. You're not going to get the complete picture of what it's going to be like. You'll think that this is what this is too low, but all of that's been allowed for. So the benches and the models, the benching of the land, and that's been done by consulting engineers and referred back to the flood engineers, and then they've rerun that through their model. And so, so that's what's happened. So it's a lot of computer modelling, and but you're welcome to come and have a look at the site. I think it's possible for us to organise that.
Councillor Quinn, would you like to make another comments?
Well, and I firmly believe with what I said, it will have an enormous effect on the Shire, possibly 700 lots. I actually believe that the stuck-ups that will occur, they always occur, the rest of the Shire will pay for it. That's what my concern is. I won't be here when it happens. It'll take quite a few years to develop, but we've been given the grant money. There's no chance they're going to take it away. I totally disagree with what the acting general manager said. We'll get the money because the bottom line is in Australia, we desperately need more houses. The government's putting out all sorts of money with grants to get projects done. But I really want us to have a look at it and realise what we're supporting and if we need to amend something. Just don't vote for something because it's in the business paper and it sounds good. I think we have an honest commitment to do the right thing by this. Look at it properly. The first thing is you want to have an inspection and really see where the land is. Then the consultants can show you all sorts of things that will happen. If they happen, well and good. You've got the opportunity to ask questions.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. I've just one question. How much was the funding, the general manager that, the grant?
165,000.
So potentially we could lose $165,000 worth of wood that we'd have to hand back if we don't move the first portion. Is that correct? The first part.
I don't want to be alarmist to say that we would have to hand the money. We're holding the money. So we've been paid the money. And a lot of that money has subsequently it's been paid out.
Yeah.
And not all of it, probably half of it has been paid out. But we do enter into a funding agreement with the department that we have to honour. It is a contractual agreement, and the terms of that funding agreement it has a schedule of timelines that we have to meet, and that has been varied to tonight. And really, what I've been told is that I do need to finalise this grant side of things. But like I said, the finalising of the grant doesn't mean there's still lots and lots of checks and balances to go, and there's lots and lots of things still to be worked out, and a lot of that detail won't happen to the development application stage. Planning at rezoning stage, it's not you don't know exactly what the final footprint's going to be, and it's just a lot to unfold over quite a long time frame.
Okay, we made an amendment. I move an amendment.
Well, we've got a motion there at the moment. I think we need to vote on the motion. The motion is that this item lay on the table until the February council meeting, and we seek to have seek to have on-site meeting with Habitat Planning in early February to walk us through the whole project. It was moved by Councillor Quinn and seconded by Councillor Linda. So I'm going to put it. All those in favour? Councillor Quinn and Councillor Linda in favour, and Councillor Shield and Councillor Hicks. Oh, that's great.
Is there any chance I can ask another question?
Well, geez, I know the ball's in the end of the money.
No.
Time to zip your lip and put your toe in the water.
There's four and four against. I'm going to use my power and say against, but I think that we need an amendment to the motion, if I may. And
You're voting against the motion, you declare it lost, Madam Mayor, if that's the way you do it.
that's what I am doing.
Yes.
Councillor Quinn, but I'm suggesting that we just
So you're going to revert back to the original motion
and
or
make
recommendation?
make an
Make an
amendment
to that.
if that's all right. Any like I'd like to.
Can I ask, through you, Madam Mayor, can I ask a question? Is there any chance that we can separate 1 from 2 in the recommendation
That's right.
and lay that to
That's
on the table?
So endorse the package, number 1, endorse the package including the master plan, DCP, the planning proposal and ICP. Have that as a recommendation, remove number 2 and lay that on the table until the February meeting.
That's a waste of time, Madam Mayor.
Why is that, Councillor?
Because once the first stage goes through, it's a done deal with this council and any other council.
Well, I'm alarmed that we'd have to pay back $160,000 or give it back to the department.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to believe. I don't believe any of that.
Well, I'm only going on I'm only going on information that we're being given by the staff. With all due respect, I think that if they tell us that's what we're going to have to do, I don't want to have to give back $160,000 to the department. I just said that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I don't know that that's the outcome. The only thing that I do know is that there's in the grant material there is a timeline that's a schedule that has to be met. If you don't meet that schedule, it could be an outcome that we have to give the money back. I don't know. I don't know what the department, but we would be in breach of our grant agreement.
Well, that's usual with that, with
Yeah.
acquittal of a grant. You know, you have to meet the timelines.
You
If
do.
don't, you have to give the money back.
So
Yes, Councillor.
just some additional clarification. So the whole grant was 165,000, is that correct?
Yes.
But we've already paid out some of that 165,000.
Yeah.
Yes, so therefore we wouldn't be giving $165,000 back. It would just be the remaining, or potentially if we lost it, would be the remaining portion that's unpaid. Would that be correct?
About $85,000. That's still be paid, which of course we would want to get back.
Yeah, no, you have to return the whole lot. If we haven't met our obligations of the whole grant, we would have to return the whole lot. That's exactly right.
But we're not, look, the recommendation as it stands, we're not saying that we're adopting the master plan, the DCP planning proposal, because we can't yet, because they haven't even been out on public exhibition. Their documents have got to be publicly exhibited. We're only just saying we endorse it, so you've seen them. I really don't know that in itself is such an earth-shattering outcome to say, hey, we've seen them, we're aware of them. That's all the department is asking me to deliver tonight, to say I've tabled. That's all. And then my involvement with the department ends, which will be not a bad outcome for both parties after 2 years of dealing with each other. But my involvement with the consultants will go on until I'm happy with what they're delivered, and that other $80,000 is paid.
Councillor.
Yeah, just another comment. My only concern here with this is we're going to be putting on exhibition something which Ms. Acting GM commented earlier wasn't completed. So Is that a good idea? Because I know the Director of Corporate and Community Services got in trouble earlier on in the year for putting something in that wasn't complete and it was just some typo mistakes.
Yeah.
But so again, we're going to put on exhibition something that's.
I haven't made that recommendation that we exhibit. I haven't done that. I just said you just endorse so you've seen them, and that's essentially all that I'm asking for at this stage. The only thing that we're talking about is in number 2 is sending off to the Department of Planning for a gateway determination. So you can't exhibit that document, the actual planning proposal, until you get that gateway determination. That's your authorisation where they say that it's fit for purpose to go out to exhibition. So there's no, this particular paper, I understand it's a little bit unusual in that I'm just saying, here they are, and I'm tabling the documents on saying essentially you've seen them. It's a little bit unorthodox, but that's where I found myself with the timeline. And but there's no exhibition. I could bring back to council these documents, and I should bring back to these council to get a resolution, put them out on exhibition for the required number of days. So that would be a subsequent.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So if we do pass this now, acting General Manager, we will still have time to review before any it gets any further down the track.
Absolutely. So there would be a requirement for another report to represent the master plan, the DCP and the ICP before they went out on exhibition, and 100% satisfied that you're happy with those documents as they stand before they go any further and go out to exhibition. And then after the exhibition period, if there was any submissions, which there will be, sure as eggs, then they'll have to come back to council so council can consider those submissions, and then before resolving to adopt those documents. And the planning proposal is a separate pathway where you need that gateway determination before you can put it out next year.
Councillor, through you, Madam Mayor. So just to clarify, at this point in time, by endorsing the package, this is the package that's before us. For us to endorse it so that the planning department can receive it to have a look at it, that's what we're doing today. We're not necessarily passing the plan until it's been exhibited and submitted to. Is that correct? So today, Mr. Kane's asking recommendation is for us to endorse the package in order to send it off for a gateway determination. Would that be correct?
For the planning proposal, and for the other 3 documents, I'm just saying you're endorsing them, you're aware of them, you've seen them there before you, and nothing else. That's all. That's the words the habitat planning is used, but could have used a different word like receive the master plan DCP and the ICP would still satisfy the funding agreement that I have with the Department of Planning, because that's what's in the schedule in the funding agreement that you receive them tonight.
Madam Mayor,
Oh, yes,
where
councillor.
are we up to with which part? Did you?
Well, I
move that just the one.
I didn't get a seconder, and
One.
councillor Quinn suggested that was no point doing that, so I'm in your hands. Are we putting the recommendation?
Complete recommend.
The complete recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have
Just to make a comment on that, Madam Mayor, could be my lack of education, fellow councillors, or my age or something, but if you just read the first part of it, endorse the package, including the master plan, the DCP, that's the development control plan, planning proposals, and the ICP. Now, if that doesn't give everything a tick, there's something radically wrong with my brain. But
so perhaps we should reword,
I'm happy,
receive the reports.
very happy for you, for if the council was to move an amendment along those lines to say receive the package.
I love that, Madam Mayor.
If you want to move
So
that
the
amendment.
amendment will be, instead of endorse, it'll be receive the package.
I still
No,
believe
second.
there's no harm
Councillor
in
O'Neill.
moving number 2 though, as written in the recommendation.
Oh,
That's what I've said, just.
Yeah, I'm happy. As long as we change the wording.
So the amendment will read that we receive the package, and item number 2 is still the same. We've had a movement seconder. I'll put that amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Liston, Morton, O'Neill, Shilk and Parker. I declare it carried. So now we'll go back. That will now become a recommendation that we receive the package. Which, are you happy to move it to seconded?
Yeah.
Councillor Morton, Councillor O'Neill. All those in favour of that? Councillor Liston, Morton, O'Neill, Shield and Parker. And against is Councillor Lindner, Councillor Hicks and Councillor Quinn. I declare it carried. Long way. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Wrong. Yeah, tip for two stuff.
Where's the next one? The page file.
Sorry. Sorry, page 133. 10.2.1, Oxford Local Government Draft Model Code of Conduct Meeting Practice.
Yeah, I'll move that recommendation.
Thank you, councillor.
I'll second.
Lister and Lindner, you need to not sit next to each other. And councillor Hicks is seconding. Any comments? No? Put it.
The minister,
Oh, sorry.
the minister's getting a lot of comments to the next.
He is. There was a lot of comments at the well, it was unanimous motion at the conference, councillor Quinn. Mainly because of the disallowance of people dialing in and the, what was the other one?
Workshops prior to.
Oh, the workshops. Yeah. So how do we gain information? Just sort of the topic that we just debated and asked questions about. How do we become informed if we can't talk about those things?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll see where it lands.
Through you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor.
So the elephant in the room is the attendance at audiovisual link. With this recommendation, do we have the opportunity to make a submission to the minister of our objecting to that and to the other two parts? I note that at the New South Wales Local Government Conference, it was unanimous from all attendants that those two things be, well, you know, that everyone was against them. As local government people here, us councillors, do we get the opportunity to make a submission for that, or is it too late?
They do it on our behalf because it was a unanimous motion.
So by us endorsing it now, accepting it now, does that mean we're accepting it?
Yes.
Yes, because they're non-negotiable at this point in time.
So
Not January.
the time to put something in would have been the 28 days that
Correct.
it's been submitted for.
Yeah.
That time's
Yeah.
passed, so
Yeah.
you're unfortunately stuck with it, I think, at the moment.
That's right.
I'll read through you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Councillor Morton, that is correct. That so regardless if you adopt this tonight, they will be considered enforced come 1st of January. So and I think that's what the actual is about in the local government, is that they may not get any changes through. It is unlikely that changes will be made because it takes it's taken 2 years to get it to here. And and it has already been through all the motions. They've already considered that they've consulted. So I think it would be unlikely that their submissions will result in change. And I think the minister was pretty clear on his reasons for that. So
Maybe we just don't endorse it.
adopt it, and then
Don't
if
adopt it.
something changes, we could always come back and revisit it. If they do get a submission through, we could always come back to it. That makes sense.
The bit of the discussion, if I may, a bit of the discussion at the conference.
If I move that we suspend stand
Yes,
for,
you
would you
may.
like to do that?
Yes,
I
okay.
need to consider that.
Councillor Hicks, Councillor Shield, all those in favour? All in favour, declare it carried. I think people are, the worst thing is about the workshops. So they're deeming workshops to be those, briefings that we have just before a meeting. And because I kept on saying, well, how do we gain information when we all live in like varied parts of the Shire? How do we gain information in order for us to make a decision? That's what we have workshops for, to ask questions to, of the staff. We're not sitting here for 3 hours every council meeting. And it was unanimous. Everybody agreed that it was absolutely ludicrous. We can see where he's coming from, that he doesn't want decisions made in a workshop, understand that. But it's just not right. So I think you'll have fair bit of trouble getting it through, to be perfectly honest.
Well, perhaps our best stance is to not adopt this tonight and still operate under the old one. What are they going to do? Sack us all?
Through you, Madam Mayor. It won't matter whether you adopt it or not, it will be considered enforced.
Well, it might just give them a bit of a.
That's a decision for council.
I reckon you don't. I need to just say stuff and don't worry about it. Give them the word that way.
The version that we've exhibited though does have some of our carried forward local meeting rules that were transferred from the previous code to the new code. So if you didn't adopt it tonight, you're just going to default to the stock standard document, which won't have those local provisions in there.
Gee whiz.
Rock and a hard place.
And I think there will be a little bit of rebellion to the black moving forward. I don't think that it.
We're not necessarily actually. You can get it. You don't have to have a workshop. You just have a get together.
Ultimately, it leads to change. Then there was subsequent change that comes from advocacy. You could go back out on exhibition and re-change this version. But I think this version is, as it stands, is the best fit because it has got the local provisions in there. For example, addressing council. I think there was other things that were there, quite a few that were our long-standing meeting rules, and you won't have them.
Might I suggest that maybe we could write to the minister and the shadow minister, because he actually spoke at conference. He is dead against it, like dead against it. Maybe we could write and say, look, we've adopted it. However, we're very concerned about these which have been brought up at the conference and unanimous vote, but we seriously see that are not a good fit for our show, and moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's the point, is the fact that not only our council but regional councils and rural councils. I know that I talk about Balrona, but that's a council that I know about. Those councillors are very remote. For them to get together, their briefing's held on the day. However, ours is held 2 weeks before. And that's 2 weeks before the business paper comes out. Does that make a difference?
Well, I think if you're not privy to what's in the business paper, then you can discuss it. But usually, I would say to the acting general manager, or he might say to me, we've got this coming, next month or whatever. Do you think we need to talk about it at a workshop? And I'll say absolutely, 100%.
But what's the decision?
Well, that's exactly right. But that's their interpretation.
Well, I think you've got to be mindful of the fact that some provisions in the code relate to like the ban on discussing things prior to council.
But no decision's going to be made.
No decisions. You just got to be mindful of it.
Yeah, not careful how you do it, but I don't know. Perhaps you get an extra Wednesday night back and understand that might be a bad thing.
Look, I mean, I think the workshop is different. We're never looking for. We'll never be able to look for a decision or something prior to a meeting. It's just to obviously we're often a workshop is to draw information out of council so that we can go and work on a plan or a budget or whatever it is. That's the move.
Essentially, it makes your council meetings more streamlined as well, because we can go away and check stuff up.
What I will say though, Councillor Lindy, you've been on a tractor for the last, how many days, weeks, whatever. You haven't got the ability to get off the tractor and zoom in and have your meeting and then go back to the tractor. I haven't been to my businesses in Queensland for 12 months since I've been in this job, because I worry about them, not being able to get back. So I think that they need to realise that this isn't our only job. But and if we want to attract younger people to join council, how can you, if they're single parent, they can't, physically be here? There's lots of reasons why. Have a disability, don't drive. We live in lots of different places. So anyway, that was my arguments anyway.
Just one more quick one, just in relation to, you said, well, if we went ahead and adopted it and we just complained to them, I think we'd be better off to not adopt it and write to the minister and say, this is the reason why we haven't adopted it, because of A, B, C, and D. But then we actually bring this back to the February meeting. So if we fall in line, so that then we can bring it back again. We can pass it, even though like it will automatically become enforced in January. We haven't got a January meeting, so we can adopt it in February meeting if that's our only option, and bang, we're back on track.
I think you said as we go to the default one.
That's
Yeah,
right.
default one.
Yeah, but the default one's only for January until we would bring this back to February, and the moment we adopt it, bang. So like my argument is that there's no point in adopting it and then complaining. We're better off to like voice our opinion strongly. We're not happy with it, so we haven't adopted it, and there's the reason why. You know what I mean? Like that,
I
there's
don't
more
think
weight
the
to our
minister
argument.
looked kindly, can I say?
I just say, would it be better to have Reebok record us with this
Oh,
and
100%.
send a letter from all those collective councils? And not just, I know it's not saying we're not significant, but one little council sending a letter may not have the impact that Reebok can
They
have
do.
for us.
They definitely have done that, councillor
So you
Hume,
might need them to. do
and
another
country
one.
mayors as
Yeah.
well. So let's prompt it by that, but I don't think, I think leaving ourselves open and not adopting it might be a little bit.
Need to go back to.
Well, he's not going to change his mind. He's that sort of man. If he did decide to change his mind, it'd take 2 years to work through the system.
Exactly,
And the other thing is, I don't know, but could we be picked up by the audit committee by not?
absolutely we could.
Good point.
I think we would be careless of us not to adopt it,
So
even though we don't like it.
So could we adopt it and add a part 2 where we resolve to write our the problems that we have with that to the minister? We can still adopt it and then write to the minister.
Yeah, sure. Would you like
We
to
do
make
that.
an amendment?
Well, we better reduce the.
Yes, so would you like to move that, councillor?
Yeah.
Second.
Councillor Shield, all those in favour? All in favour? Councillor Morton, you have an amendment to your recommendation?
I do have an amendment, but I'm not sure of the wording yet. Mayor.
So at the moment, it says to adopt the code of meeting
Yes,
practice. as
Yes, and
publicly
please
displayed.
add a point 2
Yes,
that we
council rights
that council writes to the Minister of Local Government
and the shadow minister.
and the Shadow Minister.
Voicing now.
Yeah,
Council will do it or will be.
expressing our reservations.
We could advocate through Reebok and country
Yes.
mayors, I would suggest, rather
Thank
than
you.
council doing it.
Yeah, thank you. If we could find that wording, that would be terrific.
Lisa, do you got anything?
Yeah, expressing our reservations as to how this will affect
Especially us in the regional,
rural and regional council. It needn't be too wordy.
won't be a moment, sorry.
Thank you.
Lisa's doing very well. This is the council.
Do we need to know which parts of it or
Well, it'll be the remote,
To do this work.
the workshops and the remote.
and the
Dot.
yeah,
Council right to,
protest the audio
Reebok.
visual restrictions.
Reebok and country mayors. Council.
Is it the 2 ministers?
And, oh, yes, and the Minister for Local Government and the Shadow Minister. Oh, well, no, we're gonna ask them to, are we gonna ask them to do it on,
Or to see.
yeah, to seek advocacy to the Minister for Local Government and the Deputy, the Shadow Minister. Councillor, this is your amendment, so you.
Okay, that we write to the rest of everyone to protest audio visual restrictions and the workshop and briefing. Sorry, I don't know what those, I haven't got that model in front of me to name those parts of the act, I'm sorry. We need to know which ones they are specifically.
Well, it's the audio visual restrictions,
And the ability to hold briefings.
yeah, well,
Yeah. Or workshops.
Yeah,
well, you can only call in, you can only come in audio, using audio visual if you were sick or had caring responsibilities. That was what it was.
yeah.
So we want to broaden the audio visual.
Yeah.
Could be due to work commitments or, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Okay, so we let's run to the
We should-
local government and show us to
just
broaden
put it in a
the
picture.
audio visual rules or.
Well, you could come at it the other way to protest the restrictions that allow audio visual to be only utilised in circumstances where the elected member is sick and that leaves it open for everything else. So if you wrote it like that, like to protest against the audio visual, they can only be used when the elected member is sick or has caring responsibilities.
So, the Director of Corporate and Community Services found, 3.31 is the briefing sessions, part of the code, and it's not mine.
Workshops and briefings.
5.16 is the,
So we've
the
got
audio visual. 5.17.
Thank you. Yes.
5.19, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah.
Briefings to council, to councillors.
Okay,
Thank you.
are you ready?
Thank you, Lois, for your help with that.
Okay. So we're adopting. Adopting the code of meeting practice as publicly displayed, and point 2 of the amended motion is that council right to re-rock and country Rest Association seek AKC to the Minister for Local Government, Shadow Minister, to protest against the .19 audio visual restrictions that can only be utilised when elected members sick or as caring responsibilities, and the ability to hold briefings. 5.19 to councillors. Anyone will get those, that's right. So that's the amendment, and we have a mover, Councillor Morton. Is there a seconder? Councillor Liston. All those in favour? All in favour to carry, that now becomes motion. Be happy to move it, Councillor Morton, Councillor Liston. Same movement seconder. All those in favour? All in favour to declare it carried. Everyone. 10.3 policy adoption.
No, we're still at 10.22.
Sorry,
The Coffbella Road, Carol.
sorry, 10.22 proposed land acquisition lot 105 DP 757219.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks.
Second that.
Thank you, Councillors. Leave now. Any discussion?
I was just thinking, reading through, I know it's a bit much to get your head around all the time, but we've flipped from the acting general manager to the general manager and the acting general manager. Coming and going, it was like, well, what are we really? Yeah, it was a bit,
Give me a page.
around about
Oh, sorry, it's 190.
190.
The recommendation in
192.
192.
Thank you.
So we have a mover and seconder, Hicks and Lina. Any other discussion? I'll put it. All those in favour? All in favour to declare it carried. 10.3, are we right now? Policy adoption.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Any comments, questions? Councillor Morton.
I just have one question, with the restricted and the AAA, the ratings, the WAW is unrated. Does that mean that we are not able to advise our advocate to invest in that entity? Through you, Madam Mayor,
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. The unrated, you can invest, but what we've done is we've reduced the amount we should be investing. If you can go back and read the literature around safe, safe investments, and unrated is considered as, more of a risk than others. And when we spoke about it, the reason why we only go to WAW was because it was a local bank. So we wouldn't ordinarily pick an unrated institution, but we want to support local. So we've nominated WAW, but to mitigate the risk of it being unrated, we've just made it a 5% investment.
fantastic.
So we can still kind of hold, a decent kind of money, but at the same time, it shouldn't be our kind of preferred option.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
But we've increased our portion that we can do for triple Bs, and
Thank you.
Good policy, thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? No, I'll put that. All those in favour? All in favour, declare to carry. 10.4. It's the tender for Job Up Road reconstruction.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you, councillor Coogan. Thank you, councillor O'Neill. Any comment? Recommendation is on page 211. If not, put it. All those in favour? All in favour, declare to carry. 10.5.
4.2. Coal cans for pedestrian.
Just trying to get it in a bit.
I'll move the recommendation.
Sorry, yes. This is this is the different one.
Um,
Oh, sorry, who moved the recommendation? Sorry. Thank you, councillor Hicks. Councillor Lingham. Any comments, questions? Councillor Shields.
Make a comment. The community is still very strongly wanting that footbridge section to be kept, and they are willing to assist in any way with support for the expenses incurred, because they feel Colcan was built with the railways. I mean, that's their significant part of their history, and they would like to keep that history. They weren't real clear on the way it was suggested that the fund, the payments for who was paying for what. And they were hoping that the railway side of things could come up with some money towards it to preserve a piece of history. So that was last night. They had quite a lengthy discussion on it, CDC. And they're quite upset to think that we would just be throwing it away in a scrap heap something. I understand the costs that have been quoted, but yes, they're very strongly wanting that to be kept.
Through you, Madam Mayor, can I ask Mr. Blackie, thank you for the work that you've done on this. Using money from the Balfour Street resurface to me seems like road money being used for play money. Is there any chance that we could possibly fund this with next year's allocation of VPA money, and hold over in the meantime, reimburse? If you could use funds now from that Balfour Street, could you use that now and then reimburse that when the VPA money comes next year, given that the motivation from the community group is so strong? Also, other question is, how much of the community has been consulted other than the CDC?
Okay, through Madam Mayor.
Two questions.
Two questions. Yeah, it is obviously a challenging thing to timeframes, and that's obviously I guess one of the most disappointing things was I haven't heard back from Inland Rail, so which I was disappointed in not getting a response back regarding my request for an extension of time. I believe that's only logical for the pressure that I've deemed being put on the community and council to make a decision, where there seems to be not, like I said, a risk issue that we're trying to deal with. It's the structure that's been removed, so that the continuing work on the Inland Rail can happen. The structure is sitting safely within the rail corridor. It's not doing anything. And I believe that an extension time should be granted, but obviously they've clearly made or been cut back to me that we don't make a decision. It's not obviously our structure, it is a rail structure, and they can choose to do what they want, and they've said they will continue, they'll move to keep the process going on to remove. What that means, how quickly they'll do it, I doubt if they're going to do it before Christmas or anything like that. But I find that quite disappointing, and for them not to respond back within the time frame is quite, yeah, I find it very upsetting in that regard for us to try and make a decision. And in regard to the monetary side of things, I guess that's a budgetary type issue. We only budget. Yeah, we have 4-year budgets, but we only ever approve a single year. Can't prove that we can put forward what we're looking at doing to reimburse funding. Well, projects come about. There are wins and losses. We thought it was going to cost this much to do this project. We're doing it for less. Great. It still comes out of council funds. It's not like we're taking it from anywhere else. So it would go back into general revenue as a savings. It'll probably be used to offset something maybe somewhere else. So it's not a road designated money. It was there as an estimated cost what we believe that project would cost, and we've got a good price coming in. So obviously we're going to have some savings. Like, that's not guaranteed yet. Due until we actually physically do the job, which is not going to happen to February, but the tender is a pretty tight tender of what we can do. So, in regard to budgeting, it's like it's still general revenue, and to say we can reimburse as well, it's the same. Well, what you take it from somewhere, how do you put it back? I don't know. It's sort of from one year to another year is a different thing. It's a separate project by itself. The other thing which I'm still waiting back, I think there should be some cost savings from Inland Rail, should be at least donated towards this project. I think through that, and quite honestly, I think what we should do is personally not getting any responses back, that we write to the minister and saying this is the pressure that we've been put under for a small project in a project the size of the Inland Rail, which is multi-billions of dollars worth of work. We seem to be pushed and shoved around for a small token of work recognising railways. This is recognising railways with this whole thing. So yeah, I find it quite disappointing, and I think we should write to the minister and say this is the process, and we'd at least ask for them to reconsider. And maybe that should be something we would take, because I am disappointed they didn't respond back to me today on my request, since they put the time frame for pressure on us for what they've done.
I agree with you, Mr. Blackie, because when they met with us, like, it was literally 3 weeks before they told us it was going to happen, and we didn't have time to investigate. And I think it's been very poorly handled. And I think that we need to write to them. Like, I'm very happy to write to them and say how disappointed, but also write to our local member and to the minister and say this is not good enough. You know, you've come in and you've just held me. They would have known exactly when that was going to happen all the way through. They've project managed things very well. We should have been given so much more notice than what we were. It's very disrespectful, I think.
And personally, I don't see the need to rush it. Obviously, they haven't released that information. There's no risk at the moment. So what is the sudden urge to get it removed?
It's been removed because they needed the height space for the project. So it's sitting there out of the way. And with all due respect, the community, you know, it's not just the half a dozen or so that sit around the table at the CDC. They've spoken to as many as they can, because they've only just been notified too that they needed some sort of definite answer. But we prepared a number of years ago, it must be 8 or more years ago, for this project to be relocated in the park there because we put the slab down and everything in preparation. So it is something that goes back a long way with the community. And it's the railway project that the people are knocking our little project.
I
Don't they care about the rail history?
Yeah, I don't think we should be forced into making decision just because they've got a sudden urgency. We should not be pushed into that. And I think that it's very poor form, to be perfectly honest. So I think we should.
So,
The federal project, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
The most likely got a scrap bloke coming to clean up the yard, so if
probably,
he doesn't get all the scrap, he'll probably charge me.
probably. But it's been really, really poorly done, like 3 weeks before it happened. Not
And
good
this
enough.
time of the year, like.
Correct.
And then business are going to be shutting and everything else. So, yeah.
The director couldn't even, like I said to him, "We're going to have to get some quotes for this." And Colin, the acting general manager, and I said, "It's going to be pretty fast, like tight time frame."
now what was disappointing was that Inland Rail would not buy the boats, and they actually contracted to buy. But they said it was probably not good for us to be a quote, it would be expensive. So can you go to this mob to get a quote? And then that put the pressure on them. That's why I only received the quote, like I said, a couple of days ago, and suddenly they're expecting an answer, and I don't think there's a list to do so. So yeah, I do find it a bit.
Might I make a suggestion that if they don't, come to the party in terms of they want gone, all the rest of it, might I say like a counter offer, you move it to our depot so that we can then do the, due process and work out how much it's going to cost us. But it's at your cost. You move it to our depot. I don't know.
Unfortunately, they because it's contaminated, it cannot be shifted to another location other than the site it's been.
And even reducing the size of it, same deal.
And cutting it up. Like I did speak to, and the contractor was quite good in who I've been speaking to. The difficulty when you start cutting the structure up, it creates a lot more applications for structural shifting.
I still think of replicas the answer.
But anyway, in regard to, I'll put a recommendation. I'll have that together today. I was hoping that I would have got a response back by now. There's a phone call saying, yeah, we're happy to give a couple of months, but that did not appear between now, which before I've done this report. So you can only fall back on what I said at the stage, but maybe I'm still requesting them to give that extension of time. But maybe we consider a fourth option that'd be right to the minister and
absolutely
lay out concerns in that regard. In the way this approach has been managed, and request them to ask Inland Rail to accede to our request to extend.
We'll take that as a point for them.
Yeah, it's an awful lot of money, and there's things that are for current and future that need to be done in Cockhead that the CDC are keen to get done as well. One being the shades over the entrance, but
and the CDC
it's
are
an
right.
enormous amount of money, and I just feel like we've been duped a little bit, and we need to take our time. Not that we will get rid of it, we may end up with the best scenario, but if we can slow that down till we get the answers that we need, I'm more inclined to want to do that.
I see that there is no risk at the moment. I don't understand the pressure to be put on to remove it. So the project's being finished tomorrow.
Yes.
It's a multi-year project to go ahead. And I don't understand the pressure.
Been sitting in the community for how many
They
years?
brought it forward. They like you said,
But it's been sitting there and it's a risk sitting there. If it's a risk sitting over where they've got it now, it was a risk for the last 50 years.
It's a bigger risk in the last 100 years.
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of the clean, keep the site clean.
Anyone is like that.
Yeah, and the site is clean and it's not going to jump out and hurt anyone. The issue is that we've spent multiple years of things coming to a solution, and then they've thrown this on us in the last few weeks to make a decision where there seems to be no justification to make a decision in such a short time frame. So my request is that I think we contact, without getting a response back, I think we contact the minister and request Inland Rail to, for him to contact Inland Rail and ask him to do our request to extend the time.
So who was the mover and seconder? Sorry.
Well, I thought did I move?
think you did. Think councillor Wynne, you might have seconded, did you? Yep, so
I
councillor.
suggest we poke
Are
that
you
in there.
happy?
Yeah, absolutely.
With
Do it.
point 4?
Yeah, no arguments from me.
Hicks and Linda.
Yeah, oh, excellent, sorry.
Yeah.
Councillor Quinn,
Well,
Dominic.
same, twins.
Twins. Are you happy with that point 4?
Yeah. I'd be interested to know, what value it would be in scrap.
About $50.
How's that all?
It wouldn't be much on the.
Because I'm thinking that then we could have reinvested it into a replicant.
Well, I think it's actually quite a lot.
No, the risk is, it's a cost because it's contaminated. It's
Yes,
not,
it's a
yeah,
lead-based payment.
there is a cost in inland rail, so we're actually taking the cost away from them.
Absolutely.
That's what I said, surely they should donate. Yeah, then maybe they had their contractor come on board and pick up all the rest of it, and it was incorporated in that, and now it's going to be an additional cost to take away. But they haven't said that to us, but it's a cost. They're not making money out of it, it's a cost to get rid of it because it's contaminated. There's no value in the scrap.
No.
And to my understanding, it was never to be council's like council's financial responsibility to clean it up. It was
So
never to happen.
at least if you ask, council Watson can request inland the council on the minister and request that inland rail to accede to council's request to extend the time for a decision on the bridge. That's the main thing. If we've got some time, we've got some time to work with.
We're still gonna get called, but
Is it worth on that point 4 throwing in that, that they're responsible to decontaminate it? Hit 'em up.
Maybe.
I think the moment's passed on that, sadly. I think it's now our baby.
If
Worth a
you,
try.
if you're leaning on number 4, do you still keep number 3?
Yeah, you take 3.
I think you have to take 3 out.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah,
not,
get rid of
you're
that.
not prepared to accommodate that.
No.
No, remove that. That's a very good point. Removed.
So mover and second, are you happy with that?
To see, I think Lisa should say to accede to council's request to extend to make a decision.
And request that it's
To exceed. Exceed. Is it
Not
A C or exceed?
I think it's
A C.
See, you could just use the word agree.
Goodies.
I think it means the same thing.
little bit of highfalutin language, you say.
I think so.
Yeah.
This is the last meeting for the year. I think we can dumb things down.
No, it's not wanting to. It's one of the
It's one of the right there.
So we've taken out point 3
Yeah,
and we're putting in,
a new point 3.
a new point 3.
Oh, accede to, well, you want to accede to council request noted in 1 and 2. Actually, why don't you put, rather than say the time, the council or the minister and not exceed.
Yeah, police around.
Just put agree. The council or the minister, use agree. The council or the minister,
And agree to council's request
items 1 and 2 as well.
and agree to council's request.
As noted.
For the extension of the time, for an extension of time to be granted.
And that inland rail contribute to the cost to retain instruction.
Yeah.
And contribute.
Sometimes the ministerial
cost.
letter might get you an outcome, because then they've got to, respond to that.
Got to be responsible to, that's right.
Yeah, and they.
The cost of renew, of
To retain the structure.
to retain structure. Or rehabilitate the structure.
Maintain, just.
Don't make it too complicated. No, keep it simple.
I would use the word retain and rehabilitate the structure.
Okay.
Well, I would chuck it both,
Yeah.
because then there's no doubt.
And they're not gonna.
Well, they're not actually, well, they don't need to rehabilitate it because they're not going to have people walking it. They just need to decontaminate
Council
it,
rights and minister.
don't they? rehabilitation.
Okay,
They can't get back to its existing.
And now it's all right, rewrite the stuff. The council writes the minister,
Decontaminate.
Oh, you're right, Lisa, it's like we're talking.
If you've got decontamination in there, it might.
yes,
You're
you're
requesting that, because the minister might have no idea what.
Yes.
Oh, well, we can ask.
You know, contaminated, that's probably a bonus.
You might change it.
Oh, do you want to change it from?
Well, maybe we should suspend standing orders again. It's getting a bit
Councillor
convoluted here.
Hicks, are you happy to do that?
Yeah, over the outside meeting
Councillor
practice here.
Yes. Standing orders,
Really
all those in favour,
gone
all
out.
those in favour,
Yes.
all in favour,
Yes.
so carried.
Trying to run a professional outfit here, need to make sure we stick to right techniques. What do you think?
You've got to, you want to get that resolution right, so you can just cut and paste it, drop it straight in the letter.
You said it.
So,
Yeah, for Liston.
Liston,
Did our free for all, so we suspended standing orders, it's just.
Now the motion.
quite a simple agenda.
But the simple ones always catch you out.
Okay, we've got to get the amendment right
Just get it back up.
on.
Yeah.
You're doing well, Lex.
She is doing really well. A lot of tabs up the top.
No pressure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Right, well,
Uh,
we're very-
We might have draft a letter there while we're going.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we are.
Yeah, soft.
Really good. Use your teeth.
Yeah, right, I think. Might as well join everybody. Together.
Geez, I've got duds here, empty one. Carries.
Yeah, that's me. I'm one of them kids.
But we silenced the voice recorder here, because that's.
Chocolate box, there's none there.
That's still on.
I'm having a party in the middle of the meeting.
That would be cut and paste with all these up out of word for word.
Anyone got any more ideas I'd like to put in?
Great, you ready?
We've already got it.
I'll have you.
So, oh, we're all right.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Just go back and look.
So, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so, all right.
It's a competition to see who can top this the last one.
Boys are not
and the time frame.
Yeah.
Like another one, Woody?
That's right.
Should be to.
Yeah, we still wait to call. Maintain it.
As to whether to repaint and rehabilitate the bridge.
I think the 326 dumps.
That's changed a little bit.
That's okay. But often does when you have to go back again.
And in Inland Rail, the required to the cost of retaining a bridge.
I think we need to, we need to hit them up for contributing. Yeah.
Attribute the cost to retain and rehabilitate. Structure there, change that.
Structure, yeah, maybe.
And see today, sending the forms.
How about you?
How we going?
I'm about ready to move us back to the standing orders just to catch a few people there. Not in their seats.
Yeah. I reckon.
Well, I move to the standing orders.
I'll see.
You're happy to remove,
Yep, resume.
resume?
Do that.
Councillor Hicks, councillor Liston, all those in favour? All in favour to that carry. Okay, councillors, we have, point 3 has been amended to that motion. And I'll just wait, get it up on the screen. And make sure that councillor Hicks and councillor Lindner are happy with the. Okay, point 3 is that the council write to the minister and request that Inland Rail agree to extend the timeframe for council to make a decision as to whether to retain and rehabilitate. No, is that right? Rehabilitate the bridge. Inland Rail be required to contribute to the cost to retain and rehabilitate the structure.
Yeah,
So you
that's
happy
very
with that?
happy with that.
Councillor, are
Brilliant.
you happy with that? Okay, so if that's being said, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All in favour to let it carry. Thanks, councillors. That was my work as well. Sweetwater Bridge, Sweetwater Creek Bridge. Thank you, councillor O'Neill and councillor Morton.
We comment, Madam Mayor, I had phone calls from ratepayers in the area that didn't want the name changed, so I told them who to ring, who to contact. Nothing but to do it.
Any other comments? No? If not, put it. All those in favour? All in favour? Oh no, sorry. You in favour, councillor?
Well, they asked me to vote against it. Why?
Okay, so all in favour except for councillor Quinn. Councillor Quinn is against it. Declared it carried. Thank you. 10 point. Oh no, sorry. Sorry, part B, C and D.
I'll move all
Thank
those.
you, councillor
Thank you.
Hicks. Thank you, councillor Quinn. Any questions, comments? No? Yes. Sorry, councillor
Lena,
on page 230.
230.
Yeah, just in relation to the Model Code of Conduct Annual Report. I just want to strongly encourage all councillors to follow our example that Leanne Barnes suggested when she went through the model code of conduct with us, and that we refrain from pursuing codes of conduct because it's very costly to council.
Thank you, Councillor. Linda, want to call you Lister, and vice versa. Any other comments? No? Questions? No? If not, I'll put it. All those in favour? All in favour to let it carry. Any matters of urgency? No?
We've had one every other meeting, surely there mustn't be one now.
Not one chicken, no.
Don't be like that.
No, I'm not the same, but we've got to keep consistent.
All in one, sorry.
Yeah. Just on in conclusion, I'd like to thank everybody for their patience throughout the year, especially from me being the chair, but also including the staff, particularly to the acting general manager, which I know that I've probably been quite testing at times. I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, but also our residents of our shire and our staff. And I hope that you have a happy and safe Christmas. And now more than ever, it's more important that we cherish some time with our family and our friends. With that being said, declare the meeting closed at 7:26.